Hello and welcome to First Page Fridays. My name is April Davila for Sit Right Here, and we are going to edit the first page of a manuscript that has been submitted to us. Could be a novel, could be a short story, memoir, I don't know. I haven't read it yet. So we're going to read it together and then we're going to edit it right here in this video. If you would like to have your first page edited for free, you can submit it using the link below this video in the show notes. And we have a lot of submissions, so it may take a little while, but we're going to work our way through all of them. And I do hope that you will submit your work and share it with us so that we can all learn together. Let's go ahead and get started here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can follow along and learn from all the writers who are submitting their work. Okay, the first thing we do is read through it. So the limit on submissions is 250 words because that's generally what fits on the first page of a novel. And in that first page, we really want to work to draw our readers in. Let's take a look at this first page. All right, he sips, he quips, dreams a lot about sailing ships, wants to throw it all away, wants to have it back someday. Jimmy Buffett. The 30-inch wide finger of the boatyard dock quietly settled a few inches farther into the stale back bay water as a worn leather boat shoe brought my full weight down onto the rough weathered wood. Quickly gaining balance, I drifted down the dock toward the dry storage haul-out area, jabbing an errant swatch of Hawaiian shirt into my faded khaki shorts while looking over my shoulder to verify that the forward hatch on the boat was closed. Soon, very soon, Kathleen and I would place our lives in the care of my 33-year-old ketch. Though old and tired, she was reputed to be a trustworthy vessel, yet with each passing hour, anxiety burrowed more deeply into my gut as I tried to shake nagging doubts about whether the boat and I were ready for the challenges of the journey. Damn, I thought, what the hell am I doing sailing a 30-year-old wood boat to Mexico? Heading for the phone booth, standing sentinel next to the industry-grade corrugated steel shop building, I wandered through the dry dock vessels in the boatyard. Boats are strangely uncomfortably out of place, out of the water, perched on wood blocks atop tripod pipe supports sitting precariously on uneven asphalt. Ladders lead aloft to decks high and dry. Paint and all manner of caustic liquid spilled during countless repair projects are smeared in abstract patterns underfoot. All right, so some juicy details in here, some specific, I don't know, world-specific language as well. And I will just say too, with a starting off caveat, I'm not someone who knows boats or docks, and I'm sure the audience for this book will be leaning towards people who know sailing and like what it means to be in a 30-year-old wood boat on the way to Mexico, but you also want it to appeal to people who don't have that experience. So I think I can still give some good perspective on this. I will say that starting with a quote is a little tricky when you only have 250 words. You kind of want them to be your words. Now, you could make this an epigraph that opens up the book, but I probably wouldn't put it on the first page because you really want the first page to be all about your writing and your story and bringing people in. So I'm hardly going to edit Jimmy Buffett's words. So I'm just scroll up and put that part off screen, switch into my suggestion mode. The 30-inch wide finger of the boatyard dock quietly settled a few inches farther into the stale back bay water as a worn leather boat shoe brought my full weight down onto the rough weathered wood. Okay, this sounds really cool, but I don't know what any of it means. The 30-inch wide, so 30 inches, that's like a little over 2 feet. Finger of the boatyard dock. Yeah, I just don't know what that means. A finger of the boatyard dock quietly settled a few inches farther into the stale back bay water. Okay, so the yard dock is settling into the back bay water. As a worn leather boat shoe brought my full weight down onto the rough weathered wood. So I'm assuming a leather boat shoe is actually like a shoe that you're wearing. This is quite a sentence. I'm not even really sure where to start. Okay, settle a few inches because it has a little bit of jargon, like industry specific jargon. Make sure you give enough layman's terms that those of us who don't know it can follow along. or don't. It's your story. Just know that, like, if I pick up a book and I like don't understand the first sentence, I'm not going to pick it up. And that would be a shame because I think you would lose readers that might really love your story. But you're going to have to throw them a bone in terms of wording. So I'm going to say the 30-inch wide finger of the boatyard dock quietly settled a few inches farther into the stale back bay water. And I'm just going to put a period there because it's kind of a complicated sentence. I want to break it up a little bit. A worn leather boat shoe brought my full weight. Okay, so that's why you're saying my full weight. I'm assuming that this is your shoe, and then we're in first person here. Now, one of the reasons this was a little confusing is that shoes don't bring anything. Shoes are moved by people. So you would want to say, I brought, this is what I would suggest. My suggestion would be to say, I brought my full weight down on the rough weathered wood landing. I mean, if the worn leather boat shoe is important, landing my worn leather boat shoe, leather boat shoe onto the dock. I mean, again, I'm not exactly sure. It sounds like you're stepping onto the dock is what I'm interpreting this as. I brought my full weight down onto the rough weathered wood, and I would even say of the dock. And I don't know that you need the detail about the shoe. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it. If it's important, you could work it in the weathered wood of the dock. Quickly gaining balance, I drifted. And again, drifted kind of speaks to like something a boat would do. Humans can drift, absolutely. But in terms of clarity on this first page, I wonder if you maybe want to use a different word. I drifted down the dock. I strolled down the dock. Because strolled is definitely a human thing. Boats don't stroll. So just for clarity's sake, I wonder if there's like strolled might be a better word. Also, keep in mind you don't need to do two spaces after a period anymore. That's those of us who learn typing on word processors or typewriters. But modern day word processing adds it's extra space, so you don't need it. I strolled down the dock toward the dry storage haul-out area, jabbing an errant swatch of Hawaiian shirt into my faded khaki shorts while looking over my shoulder to verify that the forward hatch on the boat was closed. Okay, let's look at this sentence. Okay, I like this sentence. It's long, it's juicy. I think because it is long and juicy, that's another argument for breaking up this opening into two sentences. Because if you have really long sentence and then really long sentence, it asks a lot of the reader. But if it's like slightly shorter sentence, and then you like go ahead and drop into like a longer, juicier one, and then you have a nice short one. So variety of sentence length is something that we look at when we're kind of considering rewriting things that we've written. So I stand by my edit here of breaking the first one into two sentences. And then it is a long sentence, but it works for me. Quickly gaining balance, I strolled down the dock toward the dry storage haul-out area. And I like jabbing an errant swatch of Hawaiian shirt. Swatch might be, you might tweak that word, because swatch to me is like an unattached piece of cloth. An errant tail, an errant end, or even an errant bit of my Hawaiian. And go ahead and say my Hawaiian shirt into my faded khaki shorts while looking over my shoulder to verify that the forward hatch on the boat was closed. Okay, so you're getting off the boat and you're walking toward the dry storage, and then you're looking over your shoulder, presumably back, to verify that the forward hatch on the boat was closed. Okay, yes, that works. Very soon, Kathleen and I would place our lives in the care of my 33-year-old catch. Now, I don't know what a catch is. That's okay. I can roll with that one. I wonder if you could be specific. Very soon. If you could say like in 36 hours, in 7 days. I don't know, whatever soon means to you. I think it would be interesting to have this be more specific. I'm just going to make something up. In 2 days, Kathleen and I would place our lives in the care of my 33-year-old catch. Now, again, I don't know boats, and this might be a turn of phrase that works if you are a boat owner, a boat lover, to place our lives in the care of an inanimate object. I wonder if there's a way that that could be a little more specific. We could um, put, because you literally are putting your life and everything you own in this boat, not really in the care of the boat, but literally in the boat. Kathleen and I place our lives and everything we own in my 33-year-old catch. Yeah. Now again, I'm removing the care because the care implies that this inanimate object would care or not care for you. That might be a step too far. It may be that there is like a real sense with sailors that the boat does care for you. So again, take this edit as with grain of salt. These are all suggestions. It's your story. You make the final decision. The old and tired she. Okay. So because I don't really know, like catch, I gather it's a boat, but the she here kind of made me think you were talking about Kathleen, the old and tired. I wonder if you could say like, the boat was, I don't know, that might be too awkward depending on how you refer to a catch specifically as a boat, but just to let you know that the she kind of, I almost thought, and grammatically you're right, it would be the catch because I don't know what a catch is. My brain was still kind of on Kathleen. So grammatically right, but I wonder if there's a way to clarify a little bit. Though old and tired, the boat was reputed to be a trustworthy vessel. So this implies that it's a new to you boat, which I think is interesting. And that's a good way of getting that information across of though old and tired, the boat was reputed to be a trustworthy vessel. Now, I wonder if there's some specificity you could put in here, was reputed to be. I wonder if you could say like the man who sold it to me promised it was a trustworthy vessel. Because or is it like everyone knows this boat and it's absolutely a trustworthy vessel? Was reputed as a much broader, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, like a broader take on the situation. And I wonder if there's some specificity, like the old and tired, I had asked around and she was a trustworthy vessel, or the guy who sold it to me said, like, I just wonder if there's a little more specificity you could get in there. Yet with each passing hour, anxiety burrowed more deeply into my gut as I tried to shake nagging doubts about whether the boat and I were ready for the challenges of the journey. Okay, so keep in mind that this is a very long sentence. There's a lot to unpack there. And again, that's okay. Long sentences can be intriguing. Though old and tired, the boat was reputed to be a trustworthy vessel, yet with each passing hour, I want to say my anxiety burrowed more deeply into my, I don't know. That's just, it depends on how you're treating the anxiety, whether it's like a thing that is coming at you or a thing that you own. So I'm going to leave that as like a personal choice that you've made. More deeply into my gut as I tried to shake nagging doubts about whether the boat and I were ready for the challenges of the journey. Yeah, that's good. Damn, I thought, what the hell am I doing sailing a 30-year-old wood boat to Mexico? All right, I like this. 33-year-old. Here it's a 33-year-old. I wonder if you could just take it out of this part and sailing an old wood boat to Mexico. Yeah, I would do that because you already told us that it's 33 years old. You can just say an old wood boat. I like the detail of wood. That helps those of us who don't know boats to like see it as a wood boat, not like a metal, I don't know, speedboat or something. Okay, heading for the phone booth, standing sentinel next to the industrial gray corrugated steel shop building. I wandered through the dry dock vessels in the boatyard. Okay, heading for the phone booth. This tells me that either this is set in a time before cell phones, or you have this character, I'm saying you, it's first person, this character has chosen to relinquish phones, but for whatever reason, cell phones aren't a thing. So that's a good detail. Heading for the phone booth, standing sentinel next to the industrial gray corrugated steel shop building. This is a little more detailed than you really need, unless this building is going to come up over and over again. I don't know that I would spend this many words kind of describing it on your first page. So I would just say the shop building. Yeah, I mean, maybe even, yeah, I would just say shop building. next to the shop building. Because the important part is the phone booth, right? Heading for the phone booth, standing next, a sentinel next to the shop building. I wandered through the dry dock vessels in the boatyard. Boats are strangely, uncomfortably out of place out of the water. That seems like it could almost go without saying. Boats are strangely out of place out of the water. Yeah, I mean, yeah, boats. We don't think of boats as being out of the water, are strangely out of. I wonder if you could reword this to kind of acknowledge that, yeah, of course they're straight out of water, and but like you're noticing it as you're walking through. Um, and then again, we have a lot of detail in here. Boats are strangely uncomfortably out of place. And who's uncomfortable? I don't know. The boats, are you? Perched on the wood blocks atop tripod pipes supports sitting precariously on uneven asphalt. I do like the imagery of all that. Ladders led aloft to decks high and dry, paint and all manner of caustic liquid spill. I mean, this is good writing. It's really nice. I just on the first page, you kind of want to stick with you want to stay in the scene that you've created and give us as much detail about that scene as you can. So what you have done really well in this so far is you have painted our main character, which we don't know anything about him yet, except that he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and he's feeling nervous about this trip. And then we know there's Kathleen. And then we know that they're sailing sometime soon, very soon, down to Mexico. So to me, that's a wonderful intro because I'm like, I want to know, how did they get into this? Are they going to make it to Mexico? Is Kathleen in on this? Like, is she excited about this idea, or is she just kind of being dragged along? And then you want to keep us in a scene. So heading for the phone booth, standing sentinel, right? You are getting off the boat, and again, I'm saying you, the character is getting off the boat to go to the phone booth. I want to know why. Like, I want to get to that phone call fairly quickly. And then maybe, and because my instinct is that that phone call is important to what's happening in the story. And then maybe on the way back from the phone call, he could notice all of this wonderful detail. But I kind of, my instinct is that like, it would be good to get to like the phone call sooner rather than later. Like what we want to do is get the conflict in here of like, if they're leaving in 2 days and I don't know, the rigging isn't ready or the motor isn't running, like get to what is it that he's making a phone call about, that he's actually leaving his boat to go and talk to someone about. That's, for me, that's the intriguing part. And while these are interesting details, and I totally see this, it's lovely writing, I just would maybe let it come out a little bit later once you've kind of grounded us in what's really happening, and using the real estate of this first page to try to sneak in maybe even a detail or two about our main character. How old is he? What race is he? I don't know, what was his profession before he decided to quit and buy a boat and sail to Mexico? I wonder if you could like, it's tricky. You don't want to like be like, I stepped off the boat as a 35-year-old man who just quit his job as a lawyer. Like, you don't want to do that. But as writers, as part of the fun is like, how can we just sneaky like get those details in, or even hint at them if we don't state them outright? Is he tall? Is he short? Is he fat? Is he skinny? Is he rich? Is he poor? I mean, this is a very different endeavor. If he's like a super rich and he's got, I don't know, like the rescue helicopters on the speed dial of the satellite thing, right? It's totally different adventure than if he's like scraped together the last of his pennies to patch up this old boat, and he's flying by the seat of his pants with no net to catch him. I think a few more details about your character instead of like the details of the corrugated steel and the details of the boats out of water. We want to get more about him and also where he is in the world. The Hawaiian shirt kind of speaks to, I don't know, maybe he's in Hawaii sailing to Mexico, but could you get it onto the page that wherever he's starting from? Presumably it's somewhere not too cold. He's not in Anchorage because he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, but is it San Francisco? Is it Los Angeles? Is it the Caribbean? Is it Boston? I don't know. I think those are the kind of details that you would want to layer into this first page to really make it land and draw people in. But you already have a fantastic start with this. It raises wonderful questions. I would definitely keep reading just to see, like, how does this trip go? And I want to know more about Kathleen. I'm very curious about this woman. Is she supportive, or does she just love him and so she's going along with it? Not that you have to get any of those details here. I love that you just mention her. Um, but when you do introduce her, I'd be very curious to know like what her take on this adventure is. So that is about everything I have to say on this first page. Thank you so much for submitting your work. And again, to anyone else who's watching, you can submit your page as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Happy writing, my friends.